All right. I'm really excited that we're doing this project again. We did it in 2020, and it was people who did it just loved it, and we haven't done it since. So I'm really pleased to be able to bring it back. So today, let's see. This is what I was hoping that we could cover. I just arbitrarily chose a few slides from last year's, from 2020 collaborative project to just give you a sense of what some of our members did. And then we're going to review the key points in the call for art. Susan's going to talk about best practices for photographing your mosaic and naming your files. And then for those of you who haven't talked to your partners yet, I thought it would be interesting to do a collaborative call role play so you can see the kinds of things that you would need to talk to your partner about. And then any questions that we haven't answered during the presentation, we'll do a Q&A at the end. So this was a mosaic that was done by Elizabeth Martinez and Cynthia Fisher. I'm not sure who ended up doing the first half and who completed the second, but you can see that they balanced each other in terms of using the same colors and some of the same shapes, the circles, the circles here, the grays, the oranges. And so they basically played off of each other. Do anybody have any comments about this piece? Okay, the next piece.
Amy?
Oh, yes.
I actually do. I did not participate last time, so this is all wonderful. I think it's beautiful, and I really like the fact that the first person started and used very different materials, but then the second person who finished, as you said, picked up the color scheme, but the materials are quite different, and I think it looks great.
Yeah, exactly. So one of the things that it's important to do when you talk to your partner is to figure out whether you want to use similar materials or similar types of adhesive, whether you care or not. Essentially, the person who is finishing the piece, I think, has a harder job because they have to decide what they're going to do so that it almost looks like it was done by one person. So, they need to figure out the style and all of that. This is another one. Angel, maybe you could talk to this. You did this with Jane Snyder.
I did. Jane did the brown half first, obviously from the picture on the left, but and I wanted to mimic the am I on mute? I'm not on mute. Okay. Sorry. I wanted to mimic like the style that she did, but in a complementary color. And so I kind of just I love turquoise and brown. And so and those the larger sort of round pieces are antique buttons that I put in on the top. But yeah, it was really fun. It was very simple, but I think it worked really well because it was complementary colors, but also style.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Any other thoughts on this?
I really like it.
That's a good thought.
Yeah, I like that thought.
Okay,
Amy, somebody has a question. She wants to know how large the substrates are generally. I'm guessing she's referring to 2020 substrates.
I don't think that we limited the substrates. I know that when Suzanne and I worked together, we used like a 9x12 or 9x13 substrate. I think we pretty much left it to you know, the teams to figure out the size. This year, we decided that you know, some people are paired to people in other states. They're going to need to you know, mail out the pieces. So we wanted to standardize on either 9x12 or 8x10, so that they could use one of these what do you call the boxes that not no cost, but
Flat rate
rate,
rocks.
flat rate, exactly. So I don't know the answer to this. Angel, how big was this piece? Do you know?
Was it 8x8? It was, I believe it was 8x8.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
All
There's
right,
Jane.
there you go. So 8x8. Linda, I know you're on.
Yep.
Tell us
Yes,
about.
hi.
Hi.
Oh,
I'm
mean,
having to do this
who
on
did-
my phone.
Who did the first piece?
the first half was done by Roberta,
Okay.
and then I did the second half. And when we swapped our mosaics, we also sent some of the materials that we used in the first half, just to help the transition look smoother. So our theme was sun and rain. So Roberta did the sunny half on this one, and I did the rainy half on this one. This
Okay.
is a 8x8, I believe, as well.
All right. So then when you talk to each other, you decided to have a theme.
Yes, we did.
Okay. Whereas other people may not necessarily have a theme. When I was talking with Suzanne, we were saying that we typically didn't use pottery or china, and that
Right.
we would use this exercise as a way to experiment with that media. So so your conversations don't necessarily won't necessarily be the same, but it will give you some basis for deciding how to proceed.
Right.
Okay. All right. And did you find it difficult to do the completion of the
It took some thinking. It really took some thinking. Also, I don't usually work with china or like the plates and things like that. So that was a challenge for me to cut it to look nice. And then I put in I used a little mirror in there, some stained glass, some tiles, some glass tile, and kind of incorporated that with the plate pieces that I had that Roberta sent to me, so that I would be able to kind of we wanted the transition to look smooth and not like it's just all of a sudden it's just totally changed. We wanted a nice blend.
Okay. Oops. Having a hard time. Okay. So Susan,
Yes.
why don't you tell us about this? I don't think Anne is participating this time.
Okay. So Anne started this piece and we misunderstood the instructions. So we thought we were only supposed to do one. So we went big. So this, I can't remember exactly how big it is, but it's at least 14 inches wide, maybe 14 by 20, something like that. And so we talked about ideas, but did not come up with an actual idea together. We sort of left it as, okay, well, you know, you have some ideas now, come up with what you'd like. And she came up with grapes. So she did the first half of the grapes and did not give me any materials, but she's only a mile away from me. So if I had wanted them, it would have been easy enough to get them. So I decided that what I wanted to do with the grapes was make them a different color. I thought a whole thing of green grapes would be a little too much. And so I used stained glass for the grapes and I think vitreous tile like she had used for the background. And a little bit of smalty, I think, in the leaf. But that's also mostly stained glass.
And what was your experience in terms of, you know, finishing it? I mean, did you guys didn't really, other than knowing that it was grapes, that was it?
Pretty much, yeah. I think as collaborations go, it was not, we didn't talk a lot about it. I'm not sure if neither one of us just really had an idea that we were wildly taken with, or if we could have, I think, you know, if we had done the same team again, we probably would have learned a lot from the first experience, seeing what other people came up with, and might have done something a little more adventurous. So I enjoyed it, but I think it was a little too big for the themes that for the subject that we had chosen. It got I get a little bored when I don't have something interesting to do throughout. And I think I got to that point a little bit, particularly with the background. I was like, all right, I'm ready to be done. But that was mostly because it was so big.
Yeah. Okay, any questions on this? All right. So, you've heard that people had varying degrees of contact with their partner. And our feeling is that if this is a collaborative project, that we really would like you to talk with your partner and discuss, you know, is there a theme? You know, if there is there a creative design? Do you need to match materials or not? Do you need to use the same adhesive? Could one person grout and the other person not? And, you know, when will the handoff happen? Our thought was that the mosaics need to be done by the end of July. And Susan is going to be putting together a Google form that you can use to send us your images. So if we work backwards, you need to give your partner at least a month to do their half, which means, you know, June 30th at the latest to have, you know, the switch off. And then to have you, if you haven't already done the call, to schedule one in the next week or so. But you know, you guys can decide on your own what that switch date will be. So as Susan said, some people misunderstood the initial project where they thought they were creating one mosaic. The important thing to realize is that you're creating, as a team, you're creating 2 mosaics. Each person starts a mosaic and each person finishes a mosaic. And in order to do that, we're asking the people who start a mosaic to give some tesserae to the partner so that they can use it either to make sure that the transition is smooth. So as I said, the deadline for the submission of the images via the Google form is the July 31st, which means that both mosaics need to be completed by then. Does anyone have any questions about this? Start half a mosaic and finish half a mosaic?
The same person who had the earlier question, I don't know what your name is. It's Stany on the form, asked a question of, they already started their mosaic and both pieces are 8 by 8. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Okay, as long as it'll, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we want to, keep them, relatively small. This will be a small work show. Or we hope that it'll be a show. I can get into that in a minute. But yeah, I mean, that's fine. It can be 10 by 10, it could be 12 by 12. We were just trying to base the size on the size of the flat rate boxes. But it doesn't matter. Okay,
Amy, can I ask 2 general questions?
sure.
Okay, it's Karen. So obviously we're going to have conversations with our partners, and so we're each starting one, so we have 2, so they could both be different sizes. And
Correct.
they could both be vastly different designs, whatever we and our partners choose to do.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, Susan, take it away.
So I'm assuming that most everybody here has taken photos of their mosaic art before. So if that's not true, then you might have more questions, but this is pretty much a quick review of things to keep in mind. So is there anybody who has not ever dealt with this issue before, has not taken pictures of their mosaic work?
I've taken pictures. I don't know that I took them well.
Okay, well, this might help you then.
Yes.
Let's see if it does. So it's best if you can use natural light. You can compensate in most phones now and most camera softwares. But it's better if you start with natural light. And north light, just because it's less glary and you're less likely to get serious reflections off the mosaic, which just make it hard to see. So if you can get north light, on a cloudy day, or if you can get out really early in the morning or just before dusk, you will get less glare. And if you put the artwork flat on the ground and then stand right over it and hold your camera parallel to the ground, you'll get a pretty good shot usually of that. And you might want to put something neutral, like a white sheet or a piece of cardboard or a piece of foam core or something behind it, so that the camera doesn't have distractions and you won't have to do so much cropping. And yeah, we're not doing things that you're going to have to get like incredibly close to, like jewelry or something, but just try not to. It's better to be a little further away from your piece and crop it than it is to be too close up to it, because sometimes it pixelates or the focus is bad. And if you have a grid setting in your camera, I can tell you where it is on an iPhone. I can't tell you where it is on a non-iPhone camera. But if you have a grid setting, it's a good way to help you make sure that your camera is parallel to the Mosaic.
Would you mind saying where the grid is on the iPhone?
Sure. If you go into your settings and then you just scroll down about, they have this grouped in an odd way. And I think they have it sort of grouped in an entertainment area. So there's music and camera and other things that are not utilitarian so much in there, but it just says camera. And if you click on that, there's a setting that says grid, and it's either off or on. So you just toggle it to put it on. And it does not show up in the photo. It only shows up when you're taking the photo so you can see what you're doing.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you for that. I didn't know about it, and that's one of my issues. It's always
Yeah, I know. It's
perfectly level.
very difficult to make sure you've got it straight otherwise.
Yeah, thank you for that.
And if all else fails, you can also straighten and realign your images in your phone software, but that is even trickier than finding the grid setting. And it can be frustrating for some people. I'm just letting you know it's not necessarily the easiest thing to do. And should you not be able to get light that you like, and your piece looks, way too green or just not bright enough, all phones have color correction software that they come with. And again, does anybody need to know where that is for the iPhone?
Yes, please.
Okay, hang on a second. Let me get my phone. It will be easier if I have it with me. Where should I put it? Oops. Seem to be able to put my hands on my phone. When you go into your photos album and you click on a photo, you'll see the photo, and then in one corner or another, you will see the word edit. And if you go into edit, just click on it, you see a whole bunch of little options at the bottom of the screen. And they're all sort of mysterious looking, but if you just click on them, there are a lot of them. There are like 15 different options. And it's probably a good idea, if you haven't done it, to just take some photo that you have already and fool with it for 15 or 20 minutes and see what happens when you click the sliders on any of those options. They all have a slider, and you just pull it back and forth and it will change, and you will see it change on the screen as you're doing it. So it does things like it changes saturation, it changes tint, brilliance, black point, which is one of those things that is good for correcting bad lighting. And then there's also a bunch of settings if you don't have a artwork that's exactly square, you can fool with that. Those are complicated. I haven't even figured them out, and I've done it like 100 times, and I'm still like, oh, what happens if I do this one? So there's all sorts of things that you can do. And I think most Androids also have that option. It may not be quite as good as the iPhones or as expansive, but you can do a lot. Does that help anybody?
Yep.
Okay. And as it says here, most cameras that are on phones anyway, automatically select the largest size that they can for your photograph, and you don't get a choice in that. But if you use a camera with a digital setting, make sure you select the large size. Because you want it to be big, so it has a lot of resolution in it. And that's about all I have to say, unless people have questions, or they have, a comment about things that they would do differently, or in addition to what it says on this little cheat sheet.
Actually, Carrie had put together a slightly more detailed PDF, and in the next day or so, I'll send everybody who registered the PDF, because there are some screenshots there that point
Yeah,
things
Yeah.
out, which I think is
right. It
helpful.
expands on this information. It's not different from, it's just more details about.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you, Susan.
You're welcome. Hope it's helpful.
Okay, so this is probably the most confusing part here. As we said, Susan's putting together a Google form for you to submit the images. So everyone will actually be submitting 2 images. The first image, let's just say I was matched with Carrie Fradkin. So we're team 10, just arbitrarily. So when I finished my first half, and I send it to Carrie to finish, when she receives it, she's going to take a picture of what I send her. And she's going to send me hers, and I'm going to take a picture of her first half. Okay. When she finishes mine, she's going to name it by my last name and her first name, last name. And then it's called Two Fish. And then I will finish what she started. So because she started it, it's called Fradkin Marks. And then the title. So it sounds confusing, but I tried to give this example. Does anyone have a question?
Yes, this sounds very much beginner, but how do you turn your image into a JPEG? Does that happen automatically?
Yes.
Yes, it happens automatically.
Susan, do you want to answer that?
Right. Could you repeat the question? I couldn't hear all of it.
The question is, again, when you take a photo, does it turn automatically into a JPEG, or do you have to do something to make it JPEG?
That's a great question. iPhones have lately started to do something called HEIC, and I forget what that stands for, but it's more compressed, so you can fit more photos on your camera, but it does not translate as well to other settings. So there is an option for changing that to JPEG, but personally, I think anybody who's going to deal with these photos on the other end is probably going to be able to deal with whatever the native format is. If you do want to change it to a JPEG, I'd suggest you call me after the call, and I'll walk you through it, because it can be a little complicated to figure out, but it's not that bad, and I can do it for you if you can't figure out how to do it yourself.
So this can wait until the object is ready to be photographed, right?
Right,
Right.
it can.
Okay.
It might be better to, there's a slide at the end that gives people's emails. At that point, maybe you could put into chat your phone number.
Okay.
And
And did I
Susan?
answer the question about where we send where do we send the photos? There is going to be a spreadsheet and you'll upload them directly into the spreadsheet. It's essentially, it's a Google form. And so you don't need to like actually send photos anywhere. You just need to go to the link that will give you and upload your photos there.
So do we have to be on a Gmail or anything like that, or is this just simply a link? We don't have to be proficient in Google,
No,
Gmail or
you
anything.
should
Okay,
not
great.
have to be proficient in Google.
Okay, great.
they need a Google email?
No, not if we don't require, if we require people to put their, if we collect email addresses automatically, they have to have a Google account, otherwise they don't. So it should be not a problem for anybody to use it, but we can test it out. Who is it who doesn't feel comfortable with Google? Because I can use you as a test.
I'm not comfortable with Google.
And what's your name?
It's Stanny Behringer.
Stanny. Okay. I
Uh-huh.
wasn't sure how to pronounce that.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can use me as a test too.
Okay.
There was something on, oh, I know what I wanted to say. Is there anyone on the call who was not able to reach their partner, or who doesn't have a partner? Okay, all right. So any other questions that people have had?
Amy, this is just another general team question. So you had Two Fish and Sunrise. So you started Two Fish and then sent it to Carrie. Did Carrie name it Two Fish, or had the two of you decided on your names before you did this? Your naming convention for your pieces?
This is the naming convention, and you, as a team, you can decide. I mean, I just did this as that I named my Pete,
Okay, you named it and sent it to her. So it's whatever your team wants to do.
right, exactly. Do people want to do, if you haven't talked to your partner and your partner is on the webinar, do you want to volunteer to do your call on the webinar? I mean,
Candace?
I'd just like to say, I've already had a phone conversation with my partner, and I was hoping she'd be on here tonight because she was a little confused about how the collaboration would work. I think she was.
Candace, I am here.
Where are
Yeah,
you?
you see me? I'm I don't know, I'm right under Amy in what I'm looking at.
Okay.
Amy, do you want to stop sharing your screen now so
yes, I
you
can
can
do
see
that.
each other a little bigger?
Yeah.
Great.
Where are you?
My name is there, but I'm not.
Lori, do you?
Well, anyway, I think this is good that you recorded it so that some people, if they're not here, can get like looking at the images from last time. I think that helps people to see what direction to go in.
Okay. All right. Okay, well, that was all I had. My other thought is that if you haven't had the call yet, unfortunately, we didn't have people have their phone numbers on the form. So if you want to in chat, do a private chat to your partner and exchange phone numbers, so that you can actually call each other. Or you could,
I'm going to put my phone number in there for everybody too, in case you have questions about photos. You can also call Carrie, but if you want to call me, that's fine.
yeah, I think Carrie's
Carrie's away for a while, right?
away for a while, so best to connect with Susan in the short term. The goal was that we plan to do a webinar with all of the photos and images in September. But also we're hoping that the exhibit committee will find a venue for us to exhibit these. In the call for art, we had suggested that the person who finishes the piece keep that piece so that we limit the amount of mailings back and forth or handoffs and deliveries. But again, it's up to you and your partner to decide whether who keeps what.
Mhm.
We're just asking that you don't try to sell any of the pieces or give them away until we know that if there's going to be an exhibition.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Where are you, Lori?
I'm, I don't know why you can't see my face. I just I just sent you a chat to see if you wanted to meet up after the meeting. We can chat then.
Okay.
Did you get that? No.
Yep.
Lori, your video is off.
Yeah, she doesn't know why.
Video is off.
Lori,
Yes.
do you have a little thing on the top of your laptop like I do where you can close your camera?
I do.
Maybe your camera is closed.
Mm.
That's a privacy thing up near where your camera is. You can slide over a little like you're pulling down a blind.
Ah,
There you go.
I'm here.
Lori. Good to see you.
Sorry.
Not a lot of people
Amy?
know about it. Don't worry.
Amy, this is
Yes.
Angel.
Yes.
The total Neanderthal of computer proficiency.
Yes.
I cannot seem to find the email where you sent to me who I was partnered with. And it's my own fault. I'm going through my things. I put in some stuff in the search bar, but is there any way?
It's
Hi,
Michelle.
Angel, you're partnered with me.
Wait, who's me? Who's that? Oh,
Tracy.
hi, Tracy.
Hi,
Okay.
how are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
I
I'm
just
so
sent you a
sorry.
message.
You did?
I just sent you a message. Yes.
Through email or through the webinar?
The
Okay, where we
webinar,
are
yes.
now.
My phone number, I put the wrong area code in though. I
All
put
right, I'm
548.
I'm
No, it's
phone
508.
number. Tell me it right now.
It's 508-736-2372. My son has my phone right now, so you
Wait.
can't call me right now.
508-736-2372.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm
Yeah.
so sorry. Anyway.
Don't
I am
worry
a
about it. It's all good.
Neanderthal.
It's all good. I
We will
am too,
connect.
so
We will connect.
we will. I am
Thank
not
you.
worried.
I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Now I'm going to go on mute so I don't embarrass myself more.
Okay. Should we hang on a little further to everyone? Please look at chat to see if your partner has sent you something.
Nobody has. Oh, nobody has publicly.
Yeah.
Can I ask a quick question? I missed the first part of this. Where will I be able to find the recording of it?
I'm going to send you the link. This is-
Okay, great.
I'm going to send everybody the link. And also the PDF that on photos, taking the photos. So you should get something from me in the next couple of days. All right.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we're done.
Yay, nice.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Karen.
Thanks, Amy.
Bye.
Hope your
Thank
ankle
you.
gets better.
Oh, thanks. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
This was perfect. Thank you.